Hi, I'm Phil from Driftworks. This is my 964 Turbo, and the man you see here bolting a seat in is Jay. Must be getting serious. So yeah, it's been another couple of weeks since that last episode where you saw us start the engine up, and lots has happened. Some obvious, like the addition of the absolutely huge and awesomely fabricated Alpha Performance Fab intercooler setup that we've got, which is basically hiding a load of the nice stuff that we've done in the engine bay, finishing everything up. What have we done, Jay? Can't remember.
Done.
Yeah, what have we been doing?
Everything. What have we done?
So I can remember I've done some work on the rear PCCB brakes on the car, which is here. So as we're nearing the point where I'm actually possibly going to start driving this thing, I'm coming back to some jobs that I never actually finished 2 years ago, however long ago it was. You may recall there's a few videos where I spent ages fitting ceramic brakes to the front, so Porsche PCCB, combination of parts including the world's most complicated adapter bracket on the front. But I've also had the rears on the car for some time, but it's been kind of, because I spent so long doing the fronts, the rears were going to be a little bit of a challenge too, and I never did it properly. I just kind of cobbled together some stuff that got them on, with the caliper in the right place and the disc in the right place and working on the internal handbrake still. But what it meant was that it pushed the wheel outboard by 4mm, and 4mm, because of my tight tolerances, was enough to take the writing off the tyre, which I obviously can't have because that's illegal, even though it's absolutely fine. So the reason it did that is I made this spacer that sat actually behind the disc there, and sits really flush on the centerboard there. And then have a look at the disc. Do this pretty easily one-handed because these are really that light. And then that sat with that side sitting perfectly flush down in there as well. So yeah, basically it just offset the disc outboard by 4mm, which then allowed the caliper to be in the right place with the pads equal left and right, and it didn't hit the back housing here, which it was before I put that spacer in. But what I can do now is actually space out this adapter more. I need some longer bolts in it. Space that caliper bracket backwards or inboard 4mm. And I've just done all of the measurements, amazing drawing that you'll see there, to work out that I can essentially just skim 2mm off this in the lathe and everything still works. So the thickness here for where the handbrake shoe actually hits, that will still be perfect. And the depth will mean that I don't need this spacer anymore. There's a slight extra complication, which I'll quickly show you. That none of these holes mount up, the mounting holes for mounting the disc or the bell onto the hub, because it's not meant for this car ultimately. So what I'm going to do is take the spacer that I already spent ages making. I'm going to reduce the outer diameter, take the bit off with the studs, and basically make an insert that will sit just kind of against the hub and kind of interfere with this ever so slightly, but not get in the way of the wheel centerboard mounting onto here, or the spigot. It'll just keep that disc centered, because there's a little bit of, I don't know whether you can see it, there's not very much at all, but there's a tiny little bit of up and down, left and right movement in that, so it could essentially do a tiny little bit of that without this. This will just keep it centered there. Unfortunately I had to remove the disc from the bell, but because the lathe's too small, but yeah, we're in, we're ready to go. It's quite resonant, that. spacer done, little chamfer on it, and come.
Plumbed a wastegate with AN fittings.
Yeah, all AN fittings, which is a bit of a battle because I decided that I was going to do all of the boost solenoid there. It's all worked out really nicely. Just lots of it goes down the back there. I've shortened, oh my god, you just can't see anything. Let me get a torch. As you can see by the destruction, we have been busy. I can't remember whether I showed it in the last episode. Man, you really can't see anything now.
Yeah, it's all worthwhile.
Yeah, shortened the EGTs, which worked out really nicely. And we've added another one here. So you can see we've got cylinders 1 to 6 here, and at the back here, we've added a new EGT sensor, which goes in place of the cylinder head temperature probe that we had before. So we were maxing out that, it was reading like 140 or something
was
like
the
that.
max on the coolant temp sensor, yeah.
I mean, I don't really understand air-cooled stuff at the best of times, but that seems pretty high for a cylinder head, but then it doesn't have any water that's going through it,
No,
does it?
it's just...
We wanted more of a scale anyway, so I decided that we were going to fit an EGT sensor in place of that, because that will scale up to over 1,000, doesn't
I
it?
think it's 1,200 or something,
Yeah,
is it?
so probably
it not get that high, yeah?
Yeah, if it goes that high, we got problems.
Yeah.
So what else have we done? Come on, we have been working on this for
bearing.
days. New fan bearing.
New fan
Yes,
bearing.
indeed, which meant I had to take the tensioner assembly off again.
You better zoom in on that Chinese continental belt again, you know.
Oh yeah. It was Continental, wasn't it?
I'm sure it was, yeah.
Yeah, people keep complaining because it says made in PRC, which I'm guessing now that people are complaining about it's People's Republic of China. But I'm pretty certain that that is a Continental belt. We finished up all the tin work. Oh, that was a big part of your job, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, oh my god, this
More
is
of it
so
you can't
bad.
see.
I should have definitely filmed this before putting the intercooler on. As you can see around here, we've got a really nicely fitting intercooler pipe that comes off the turbo and up there. The reason that's really nice is because we spent, well, Jade already done quite a bit of fabrication to that piece, but it had no hole in it, did it? So.
No, so it's adapted.
And we did everything in the wrong order, of course, as you often do. I'd installed the turbo and manifolds, which meant that getting to that piece to cut the hole in the right place was an absolute nightmare.
Just remember something else, we spent ages doing new wastegate pipe. That exhaust needs to be reconnected, that took a while as well.
Tack test.
Oh, yeah. Does it?
No.
How did it used to go in? Maybe I'll move this.
Ignore the plate. The plate is correct. This is my new plate for this car, but I hate the dimensions of this. It was the Japanese plate size that I went for. I'm getting one remade because I'm fussy and I don't like it. So there you go. But as you can see, if I go around about here, you can maybe see the exhaust tips are in the right place. And that was a mega challenge in itself. I can't remember how much I filmed in terms of B-roll for this. Yeah, it was a bit of a beast of a job, wasn't it?
Yeah, we had to sneak it round the manifolds and onto the new wastegate, which isn't in exactly the same place as the old one.
No, and if you've ever done any kind of exhaust work, making a pipe that starts at a point and finishes at a point is not easy, but it's pretty doable. Making two pieces of existing pipe made up in the middle perfectly without changing the angle here, quite difficult is probably how to describe it.
That was a delicate operation, wasn't it?
Yeah, I haven't stood back at a distance and looked at it too close yet. So. I've got a tidy piece coming for this droopy trim, which is a real problem on these air-cooled 964s and 993s, I believe. But that hasn't arrived yet, so I haven't got that on. But what we're doing now is getting it off the ramp, fitting that seat, moving it outside. We're not going on any great adventure just yet, but we need to stick it outside because it's very stinky. And Jay's going to have a go at doing kind of a very light base tune.
Try and make it run
Yeah.
enough to go for MOT tomorrow.
Yeah, because MOT tomorrow, little bit of road driving, and
Do
then
not want to wash this engine out of the fuel.
no, it's not the one, is it? It's not the one. So yeah, we're going to stick it outside so it doesn't stink. We're probably going to, I mean, it looks bloody clean on camera. It is absolutely filthy. I've just washed the Lamborghini as well, because that's covered in, hello DPD, because that's covered in dust. So yeah, I'm probably going to give this a wash while Jay does that little bit of tuning, and then yeah, rev it up, mate.
Rev it up and press some buttons.
Been a while.
It has, hasn't it?
Too long. Refamiliarise myself with the wacky pedals.
Yeah.
Is that making that squealy noise that we used to have?
Yeah.
It's a new engine.
Yeah.
That thing's up much better now. You can put in the vat, not in the tank. Sounds good.
Positive, it moved and it's got power steering, so that's
Yeah. All this messing about with the clutch that we did as well, we didn't break it, so that's also good.
Yeah.
It drives nice. I'd say immediately, remember we used to have the tipping problem on the throttle before? That's gone. It's idling a bit high.
Wow.
It doesn't come down very
Probably
quickly.
messed that up now, messing with the
That's
map.
coming down. There we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's probably, just in case you weren't aware, we don't know what we're doing. We're
No, we're making it as we go along,
we just want to be able to drive it and not blow it up or like foul the plug. So
Yeah.
get to MOT, that's all required. Then to the dyno. Just randomly smashing buttons, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
Sweet. Two clean cars, and one of them, well, that one's running fine. This one's running nearly fine. Struggling a little bit with the low down stuff because I think it's because the throttle body's so huge. So much air comes through when you just press it ever so chucking a good amount of black.
Is it?
Yeah. Not the whole time,
No,
but
is it just
when you first press it.
Yeah.
guess we should probably try some light load if we're going to try and drive it.
To try and move it, 'cause
Yeah.
it's not going to stop.
So
So
we need to put the passenger seat in.
can do, yeah.
I think it's probably best to do it now because it's going to be busy tomorrow morning, isn't it?
Yeah, fair one.
And at least it's quiet here. We're not annoying our neighbours quite so much. Just had a pretty successful run out to get an MOT on the car. Everything was running pretty well considering it's a J tune. You know, you're there, Jay.
Patent pending, yeah.
Patent pending, yes. No, it runs reasonably well. It obviously needs quite a lot more work by a professional, and we're staying out of boost at the moment. But no, it ran really nicely. We have unfortunately come back to find a couple of issues. One is that it looks like we've got a crank seal leaking on the gearbox side, which is a bit of a pain. So
it's better than the other end, to be fair.
it is. I mean, I have done both of them before. Did you? You did the gearbox side for me before, didn't you? Yeah, I did the other end, I think. Bit of a mission, but yeah. So we've got to pull the gearbox off on Monday. It's currently Thursday afternoon, which means tool tidy up time because Jay doesn't work Fridays. I've got a few bits and pieces to do on it tomorrow, but we're actually taking it out for kind of a little video shoot thing that a friend of mine, Al, is doing on Saturday. So I'm going to kind of keep it all together and just leak on the floor there with him a little bit on Saturday, and then we'll take it all apart on Monday and see how we get on. Fingers crossed it solves the problem because yeah, whipping the gearbox on and off, it's not the most difficult, but it's not what I'd describe as fun. It's disappointing, isn't it? Yeah, and also, yeah, I've seen how Matt at Firm Sport put it in. He's got a really special tool and he's super careful, so I'm a bit worried that maybe the crank has some wear in that area or something. So my question would be, perhaps, should we push the crank seal in a little bit further so it rides on a different section of the crank? All these things I'm going to go and do a bit more research on now. I'm not sure if I mentioned, but we're also having a bit of a heat issue. I was a bit concerned about melting the lines that go to the wastegate. And also we've got the boost reference lines that go up to the solenoid there, which were directly above the exhaust. Yeah, I was a bit concerned about how much heat there was. I've never really stood underneath an air-cooled engine and seen how much hot air is pushed down through the engine. And then in addition to that, you've got obviously these stainless manifold headers here as well. A few people have said, why don't you ceramic coat the headers? I might. I am considering it, but this stuff's actually better overall. And what I've tried to do, I am not an air-cooled expert by any means, but I obviously understand the principle of the air gets pushed down from the top of the engine out of the bottom. So I've tried to keep the most important cooling fin areas out of the way of this, but I've created had to drill into the cylinder head here a little bit, but I've created a kind of heat shield for the heads and everything above it, which should also stop a bit of the heat soak going up. We're having really high intake air temperatures as well. So yeah, I'm going to carry on and do a bit more of this. I might get a blanket for the TurboSmart wastegate. I think I'm going to use some of the Nimbus stuff here. But yeah, it's pretty good. It takes a very long time to do properly because I was stubborn and didn't want to remove the manifold itself, but managed to sort of bend it up using 2 pieces of angle iron that we use for our toe plates to get a relatively nice seam on the back edge here. As I say, create this little bracket here with an M5 bolt. I had to create a little hanger, I don't know whether you can see it, that hangs off the back of the engine here, a right angle bracket to have that one in. Crude one at the back here, just to support it and stop it flapping about, because otherwise it might make quite a bit of noise. So yeah, I've got a fair bit more to do in terms of finishing it up, but yeah, pretty happy with that for a starting point, and I think it will make an absolutely huge difference. I don't think I'm going to have time to do the other one today, but it's not quite as busy over here, so I'll probably do that Tuesday, maybe, we'll see. Happy Monday, everybody. Yeah. We just wrestled this out. It does look like strong signs of crank seal. I'll make double sure that it's not coming out of the gearbox anywhere, which it doesn't appear to be. Joe's just undoing a billion bolts on the Hose Geek and triple plate. And again,
worst
you
bit
can
of the
see,
car, yeah?
Yeah, it's still quite difficult to drive. I mean, that's partly because of the mapping that we have or haven't done, but yeah. It's still quite an on-y-offy clutch. I think a lot of it's the clutch pedal though, you know, because it's a one of those, not a one of those. Yep, looks like crank seal. So we're going to have a quick measure of this, because I think from what Matt was saying, they are supposed to sit in about 1 mil from this face here. However, we did a crank seal on this pre-engine rebuild because it did leak before, and I'm not sure whether we just made it flush or maybe slightly further than.
I don't think we poked it in that far.
Yeah, so I'm going to measure this and just see where it is sitting, because it's like, because Matt's got a very special tool for doing this, and he's done hundreds of them and never ever had a leak. So it could just be a bad seal. But yeah, we'll just make double sure. We've obviously checked and made sure it's not coming from anywhere above. There's some sort of assembly, the sticky assembly stuff that that Matt uses, but yeah, I'm pretty confident that it's not like on the top part of the seal housing, it's just pulling sort of around the crank here. So yeah, well, do a bit of further investigation and measurement and probably just push a new one in to whatever feels about right.
Yeah.
The thing with seals like this is if they ride on the same position for ages, it can cause slight wear on the crank and they can leak, but I can't see it with this. I think it was all checked and measured, so.
It hasn't done 1 million miles either.
No, it's not. No, 83,000 kilometres. Yeah. Anyway, we'll investigate.
That's precision.
Matt, I apologise, Matt, you're probably dying inside watching me do this. Right, so here's the theory. I had a leaking rear main crank seal previously, about 3 or 4 years ago on the old engine build. I replaced that crank seal, and as far as my memory serves me, I just did it flush like this here. It didn't leak. So then Matt has rebuilt the engine properly, like full crankcases apart, put the seal in like you're supposed to, which is kind of 1 mil further in, and the brand new crank seal, even though installed completely perfectly, leaked. So I'm going back to my old method of just basically putting a brand new crank seal in and leaving it flush here. The reason for that is because, I probably should have shown you, I didn't. The crank has just slight obvious position where the seal has rotated many rotations on it. And though it's not something you can necessarily feel with your fingernail or anything like that, just putting it 1 mil further out means that it's riding on the crank in a different place, the seal is. And like I say, having installed a crank seal like this incorrectly in the past and it not leaked and not had any issue, I'm going to go back to this because that's basically the fresh position on the crank. That's my theory anyway. We're going to put it back together and see. Yeah, doing it wrong on purpose.
Doing it wrong makes it right.
Yeah, and obviously using the correct tools too.
Yeah.
I'm just basically trying to make sure that it's absolutely flush all the way around here using the incorrect tools. So yeah, stop watching. Next thing you'll see is the gearbox.
You've seen nothing here.
Okay, that's all done. Gearbox back on. I thought I'd just point out how lovely this looks here. I've got this really simple and affordable little tidy up piece for the saggy foam panel that sits underneath there from a guy called Andy at Flat 6 Products, isn't it?
Flat 6 Products. Thanks for the Toblerone.
Yeah, thanks Jay for sharing the Toblerone.
He said I could eat it on the left. That's it. You got home.
You're doing me a favour, mate. I'm trying to lose a bit of weight, but no, it's a really simple plastic piece. It's a bit hard to see with a gigantic Alpha Performance Fab intercooler in there, but yeah, really simple plastic piece that just ties up onto the bolts, the little pushing plastic bolts that are here. So yeah, very nice piece. Beautiful map. I can't reach the pedal.
This has got oil pressure.
Yeah, got that oil pressure up. Right, quick. Let's try again with a little bit of throttle this time. What is that whistly noise?
It's got to be something to do with the fan.
Oh, it's a bit smoky, man.
Yeah, maybe it's that motor smell now.
Oh yeah, you can taste the motor. Oh, tasty. Right, we're gonna let this warm up a bit and then we'll check for leaks. If anybody knows what this screeching is, please let me know. It's not the belts, as far as we can tell. We've sprayed them with brake cleaner. And it only seems to do it when it's warming up, doesn't it?
It's always done it though.
Yeah, before this engine. And all these are new components. So the fan bearings new, the alternators new, all the belts are new. Don't get it? It's horrible. Sounds like ghosts. That's 5 minutes of warming.
Looking better, isn't it?
Nothing dripping so far, so yeah. Fingers crossed, that's sorted.
Yeah.
Nah, it's fixed, mate. Fixed,
Yeah,
sorted.
Hopefully.
Sweet. Oh, quite enough of that. Happy days. Job's a good one. Still loads of stuff to do to this, but we'll probably call that a day for this episode. In the next episode, we are going to be fitting some fancy electric air conditioning parts from Classic Retrofit. So yeah, make sure you subscribe, give us a like if you enjoyed the video. Buy all your awesome tuning parts from Driftworks.com. So we can carry on doing silly-ish like this. To silly cars. And yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers. Bye.
At Driftworks, we've helped over 50,000 happy customers since 2004. Our huge online parts store is simple to use, with superb shipping rates to anywhere in the world, and finance options available for UK customers. We live and breathe wheel fitment, so if you have any questions about your own car or any of our products before placing an order, please drop us an email at shop@driftworks.com or give us a call. Thanks for watching.